Hi, witches. So it's been a while, and I thought that today would be a good day to do a bit of a favorites video since I haven't done one of those since January. Instead of it being my favorites for the past 6 months, I thought I'll do it as like lockdown faves since I'm currently in lockdown. I know that lots of Australia is currently in lockdown. So it's been a while. So first thing I'm going to start with is books. So I have read a lot of books since January. I didn't really read much in February, but in starting from March, I did read quite a lot of books. I've still been mostly reading audiobooks. So the books that I read were mostly audiobooks. I will talk about a witchy book that I really loved, but I'll quickly list off some of the audiobooks that I read and enjoyed. So I read Butterfly on a Pin by Alana Hill. I also read Essentialism by George McEwan. I read When by Daniel Pink. And I'm currently almost finished reading Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. All really great books, not witchy at all, but very interesting. So otherwise, being a teacher librarian, I have been reading lots of like children's books, I guess you would say. So, for example, I have almost finished reading the Nevermoor series by Jessica Townsend, so I'm up to Hollowpox. I read Nevermoor, I read, what was it, Wondersmith, and now I'm up to Hollowpox. Haven't started reading this yet, but love the first two. I've also been reading lots of graphic novels. So, for example, they have a graphic novel version, there's two of them, of The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman, which was really, really good and really loved that. I still haven't yet read Coraline. There's a graphic novel of that. I do want to read that. These are all in my library, which is why I'm not able to show them to you. I say my library because I look after a library. It's part of my muggle job. So they're at my actual library, which I can't go to right now because we're not allowed to because lockdown, but that's okay. And there was another really good graphic novel that I read called Sad Ghost Club. The creator actually has an Instagram account, and it's just a really nice kind of reminder that we're all sort of struggling, and that's okay. It's nice to talk to other people and open up the fact that we are struggling, so that you know that you're not alone. And so that's been a really good little graphic novel, and yeah, she does some similar stuff on Instagram as well. So now for actual witchy books that I have been reading. So I haven't had a huge amount of time to be reading witchy books. However, when I was recovering from surgery, I devoured Living Witchery by some of my favorite people. So I'm just giggling because I know one of the authors, and they're using a like a pseudonym. Yeah. It's not me, if that's why you think I'm giggling. I have not written anything yet. It's something I'd like to, but hasn't happened. That's okay. But so Living Witchery, a beginner witch guide. This is a really great Australian-based book. So it is edited by Alexandra Tanet, Kim Fairminer, and Sandra Greenhalgh. I have butchered that. I really apologize, Sandra. Sandra is amazing. If you don't know Sandra, I believe she goes by the name of Sandra Circle. She's been active in the Australian Druidry community for really, really, really long time. Kim Fairminer, also very accomplished, knows her stuff, fantastic astrologer. But so Living Witchery is great because they have asked a whole lot of guest authors to write certain pieces in this book. So, for example, I will read you some of the topics that they cover in this book. So, it's long, it's got a lot of stuff. It's a short book, but it's jam-packed full of information. So, it talks about witchcraft in Australia. It talks about labels, terms, and concepts, covens, study groups. Then it goes into the fundamentals, so things like the ethics, meditation, spirit guides, energy sensing, grounding, centering, reincarnation, coming out of the broom closet. It talks then about the foundation, so how you can create a book of shadows, creating an altar, some basic correspondences, what are the different witches' tools, and then talking about all the different sabbats and how you can practice them in Australia. And then I think this is the part I enjoyed the most. There's a section called Facets, Witchery Lore. So, for example, they have one on Indigenous astronomy, which is just, I love that topic. I taught it to some of my students in school recently with the help of someone that may have written this article. It talks about moon cycles, planetary magic, how you can bring magic into everyday, charms for when you're traveling, basics for building your witch's apothecary, how you can use crystals, what to do if you think you've been cursed or hexed, energetic cleansing, divination. There's just so much in this book. At the end, it goes into the practices of the coven, which Alexandra, Kim, and Sandra are all part of. So there is that section of it, but there's just, honestly, this book is just so good. It is the perfect beginner witch guide. It is a fantastic resource, and it's particularly great if you are in Australia and you're starting out. Because I think this answers a lot of those questions, like how do I practice the Sabbats in Australia? How do I join a coven? All sorts of things like that. How do I incorporate Indigenous practices into my practices, or should I even, and things like that. So this is a fantastic book. I can't recommend it highly enough. It was a Kickstarter book, but it is also for sale. I believe it's on Etsy. I think it's on Sandra's Etsy. I will leave a link down below because I do really believe in this. Not sponsored or anything. I purchased this with my own money. I was part of the Kickstarter, even though I have a no pre-orders personal rule. I broke it for this because I know Kim and I know Sandra, and they are fantastic people, and I know that they were trustworthy. But so I have a signed copy by everyone that contributed, which is really nice. But so this was a big fave for lockdown. Definitely read it. If you have not got it, please go out and buy it. It's I sound like a salesperson, but quite honestly, I just really believe that much in this because I do believe in supporting Australian authors and Australian witches who are sharing their knowledge. And this book is super affordable, by the way, as well. It's very decently priced. I think from memory it might be like $35-40, which is very reasonable, knowing the prices of other witchcraft books. So yeah, recommend this super duper highly. If you've never heard of it, go check it out. I'll be quiet about that now. Okay, so let's move on to the topic of decks. So look, I first thought I'll start drawing a card every single day in lockdown. It just has not happened. I'm getting better at it. And I've been using mostly like my kind of, I call them like my gentle oracle decks, the ones that aren't going to be giving me negative cards, because, you know, there's a lot of negativity already. We need some positivity. So the deck I have been loving the most is the Faceted Garden Oracle by Claire Mack. Had to think there for a second. I have her other deck, which is the Illuminated Earth Oracle, and that is one of my favorite decks ever. So when this came out, I had to buy it because I love her stuff. I love her artwork. Having said that, this is a very balanced deck, and what I mean by that is there are cards that can be interpreted in a negative way, but this deck particularly, it is very, very intuitive. So I will show you the deck. So you do not get a thick guidebook which is going to spoon feed you all the information. You get a keyword and a sentence. So for example, one of the cards is Mineral Realm. It says, solid, orderly, pure form, providing structure on a solid foundation, material to build upon, abundance of choice and versatility. So it's giving you keywords. It's really making you think, how does this relate to my life? How can this relate to my life? And doing it that way. So the cards are, it's a combination of traditional collage and photo collage. Her other deck was more traditional collage, I think, whereas this has got a little bit of like sort of digital collage. Also, I've just got to show you how awesome is that edging. My favorite edging ever. But so yeah, the images in here, there's a whole lot. The more you look at it, the more you notice there's just so much detail in this. And as I said, I like that the keywords are quite I was want to say basic, but they've also got a lot of depth to them. It's hard to kind of explain, but I just have been really enjoying using this deck, and it is a very natural kind of deck as well. There's not a lot of people or faces in here, which I prefer. I'm not a big fan of having people and faces in decks. So this has worked very well for me. See, like Pillar, like that's just such a, you can go so deep into it, but it's also it's not giving you a whole lot of information. It's yeah, I really like this deck. I find it's really great to read intuitively. Yeah, and it's got quite a lot of like green. I don't like the word, but it's very green witch. Like it's got mycelium and it's got crystals and it's got the seasons. Yeah, but so this is one of my favorite decks in my collection and one that's fairly new to me. I forget when it came out. I think it came out late last year, early this year. I can't remember, but it's yeah, definitely one of my favorites. So that is the Faceted Garden Oracle by Claire Mack. And again, I will leave a link down below in the description for you. So I have been really enjoying using candles. I just realized that I had so many candles. I kind of pulled them out of all the drawers and cupboards that I had and put them all in one place and realized I have a lot of candles. So I've been trying to use up some of them because some of them I've had for quite some time. And as I've mentioned before, I do make my own candles. So it's not like I then need to go out and purchase more when I use them. It actually means I get the chance to make more of them, which I really like, and I don't do all that often, again, because I already have so many. So for example, this is a candle I've made. A little bit of the wax is broken off. That's fine. That happens sometimes. But yeah, I've been really enjoying using up some of my candle stash so that I can then have the chance to make more, and also because candles don't last forever. Like this one was so heavily scented when I made it and now I can barely smell it, so it's probably time I've used it up. And since I am Miss Tea Addict, I figured I needed to add a new section into this, which is what have I been drinking recently. So also, side note, yes, I did get some new mugs from Asha Moon. I could not resist this one, even though you don't see me with a lot of blue things. Blue is one of my favorite colors, and this mug is become like my favorite mug to use every day now. It is just stunning. I just love it so much. Yeah, I love her stuff. But so what have I been drinking recently? So I have been really loving chai tea because it's been cold, it's been winter, and it's like a nice warm hug. So there's been a few different chai tea blends that I've been using. So I did come across a Facebook ad for a company called The Chai Villain, which makes sticky chai. And if you don't know what sticky chai is, it's basically you get the loose leaf chai and you mix it with honey and it becomes sticky, and so you use it that way. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the concept of sticky chai because it's a little bit messy. Also, the honey that they use in the Chai Villain is Tasmanian leatherwood honey, which is not the sweetest honey. I prefer something a bit sweeter like orange blossom honey personally, but it's still really nice, and they have some fantastic ethics in that company. So I do want to keep supporting them, but I'll have to look into their website to see if they do a non-sticky blend of chai. So that's been great. I've also used a blend called Prosperi-T by Tbar, which is an Adelaide-based company. I picked them up when I was in Adelaide in April, and yeah, I love Tbar. I've been drinking their blends for years, and yeah, love them. So that's one of my favorite blends from them, and I've almost run out now, which is a little bit sad. Otherwise, my favorite go-to has really just been my Narada chai, which I've been drinking for years. It's not quite as spicy as the others. It's more of a kind of mild blend because they also add vanilla to it. But yes, I've been loving chai tea. Otherwise, I've also been drinking some herbal teas, mostly chamomile blends. Again, it's lockdown, we're all stressed. Chamomile is great for helping you feel less stressed. So I've been drinking, again, my plain Narada chamomile, but I've also been drinking some different chamomile blends. My lovely co-worker gave me a care package before I went in for surgery, and in there she gave me a box of chamomile and spearmint tea, which is such an interesting combination. I really liked it. I've already drunk all of it. There was also a really lovely blend that Asha Moon gave me when I bought one of these mugs, which is by, it's called Asha, and I believe it's by Twinings. And that one had like chamomile, and I think it might have also had spearmint or peppermint and like lemon, and that was a really nice blend too. I'd like to get more of that. So I've been really enjoying drinking chamomile blends, but also chai tea blends when I'm having caffeine. Almost there. All right, last category is what I have been listening to. So I've mentioned before, my go-to study music is that lo-fi chill music that you always see pop up on YouTube. I just find it really relaxing, and I think the fact that there isn't words in it just helps me focus on my work, which leads me into my next bit, which is do. So what have I been doing? I've been doing a whole lot of studying. I'm currently completing my Master's of Education in Teacher Librarianship. I complete that online. I'm doing 2 subjects at a time because, that's what I do to myself. But I have been really enjoying that. I've just been trying to get through all the readings, smashing out assignments, all of that stuff. I'm currently doing a unit on digital literature, which has been so much fun, and it kind of combines my passion for reading with my passion for video games, and it's just been really great. And I fell into that by accident because one of my other electives got cancelled due to low numbers. So yeah, that's something which is a bit sad that's happened with universities at the moment, is because of lockdowns, a lot of people have been cancelling their uni courses, and so all of the numbers have dropped, and I know that there's universities around Australia that are having to cut staff, which is really sad. But I also completely understand that a lot of people are trying to work from home and then homeschool their own children, and all of that, and adding studying online at the same time is just too much for a lot of people. So I understand, I respect that. I am just powering on, basically, working from home, studying from home, but it is a lot of screen time, and I have been feeling very tired from it. But that's what I've been doing. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. The other fun thing I've had to deal with, just to add another thing to my Saturn return, I got called up for jury duty. Now most people would be like, oh yeah, what's so bad about that? But when you're working full-time, you're studying 2 subjects at a time, and you're trying not to leave the house because you have autoimmune disease, it becomes tricky to try and also go to jury duty, which is outside your 5-kilometer limit. So I'm trying to get an exemption for that, so fingers crossed. But yeah, I better get back to work now. So I hope you enjoyed these lockdown faves, and hopefully I'll be back soonish with another video for you. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know down below what your lockdown faves have been. I would really like to see if there's any kind of crossover there. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.